seemed like things were going pretty good for Ralph and Vanellope. I thought it was going pretty good. Why did you feel that you needed to revisit them?
We thought it was going good too.
We did.
Until we looked at the very last line of the first movie where Ralph says, after going friendless for the whole movie and then finally making a friend, he's back home and says, if that little kid likes me, how bad can I be? And it seemed at the time, it's so sweet. It's a wonderful sentiment. But then as we continued to kind of pick at it, we said, well, that's really, really dysfunctional. You know, this guy is defining himself by what his best friend thinks, you know, and it's a great best friend, but what if she were not to like him someday? What would that lead to?
And so with knowing that he still had quite a bit of insecurity, he still had farther to go in his journey, and then we'd only known Vanellope for like 35 minutes or 40 minutes, so she has a whole other story. So we had to keep going with these characters.
And so you put them in the internet, which is, you know, just a place of positivity and happiness.
Perfect place for a character who's insecure about himself.
Yeah. So how did you, I guess, visualize what the internet was going to look like?
The simplest comp is, I mean, after several horrible ideas that didn't really make sense, we finally landed on something where we thought of it like an old city like Rome or Istanbul, where the ancient city is buried deep beneath, and then they build a new version on top of that and a new version on top of that and like that. And that's kind of actually what the internet is. You know, you go down to the guts of it and you find
cat memes.
Yeah, AOL, dial-up, all
dogs
that
jumping on trampolines.
Below the dogs on trampolines.
But that's how we envisioned it, like a city that is multi-layered with, you know, the newest, biggest websites are up on top, and then the old, forgotten stuff is down at the bottom.
Pam, I had a question for you, because you got to voice Snow White, who's like the OG Disney princess.
Yes.
And so can you tell us a little bit about your favorite moments from the princess scene and how that kind of changes with Vanellope being added to that?
Well, it was amazing to be able to work with all the original voice actresses to come back and add everything that they bring to the characters. And, you know, what a dream come true to have Vanellope von Schweetz now officially part of the canon, which was the whole point the whole time, like the hoodie princess reigns supreme.
Oh my gosh, it was so beautiful getting to have like the princesses that my mom grew up with, the princesses that I grew up with, and now the princesses that my niece is growing up with, like all under one roof. Speaking of a ton of ladies, Jack, so that was the perfect transition. So Fix-It Felix is now a married man. He's married, but him and Calhoun took in like 15 preteen racers when Sugar Rush was unplugged. I mean, what is going on?
We bit off way more than we could chew. And just due to the circumstances, Calhoun and Felix do bring in all of the kids from the racing game. And after a few years of marriage, they've experienced some tension and perhaps some stagnation. So now they're thrust into these new circumstances that really force them to not only evaluate how they feel about each other, but what their preconception of what parenthood could be is reality.
Instead of getting a dog, they got 15 preteens.
Yeah.
Smart.
Just the same. So much poop.
True, a lot of bathroom time. Taraji, we got to have Yes, and she's now joining us in this cast. She's such a vibrant, beautiful character. I'm really excited to see everyone's cosplay at the cons of her. So can you talk a little bit about what it was like getting to play that character and how she interacts with Ralph and Vanellope?
First of all, voicing a character in a Disney animated film, check. Thank you. I just thought she was incredible. I mean, when Rich and Phil brought her to me and explained to her, I was like, this is a no-brainer. I mean, she's a go-getter. She's the head of a company. She's no nonsense. She has heart. My favorite scene is when Ralph finds himself in the comment section, in the comment room, and she comes in and she tells him that it's not you, it's them. They're mean. They're hurt, so they're hurting you. It grounded the film for me, and it grounded the character for me. Made her multi-dimensional, and I just was like, and then getting to voice with amazing other actors. I mean, it's just a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, I was going to say I related to that quite a bit being online, and something that I think that everyone needs to see as far as dealing with like toxicity online. John, I wanted to ask, because Ralph is a vintage arcade character, so what was that like for him to be thrust into the internet?
Well, I'm a vintage human being.
I wouldn't guess from the outfit.
Yeah, I mean, the character, it was initially even conceived as a fish out of water kind of character. And that was a lot of what we played with in the first film was, you know, how does Ralph behave, or how does any video game character behave in a game that's not his own? And then the internet is this, you know, literally infinite landscape. So, I don't know, there's a lot of really fun metaphors that we're also playing with in the film. And this idea that the arcade is like the childhood kind of arena of their friendship, and the internet represents this sort of larger world beyond as they grow and mature. And Ralph's not, you know, like you mentioned in your comment, Phil, at the beginning, Ralph really worked so hard to get a friend in that first one. He's like, got it, rest of life solved. And then Penelope starts to grow and mature, and realizing that she wants to feel like she belongs somewhere, and it's not, you know, her candy game. So I think a lot of kids and adults are finding a lot of stuff in the film that they can really relate to in terms of the way relationships evolve, you know? So I think there's something here for a lot of people, and certainly a lot of jokes that operate on a lot of different levels.
I did want to go ahead and open it up for press now to ask questions. Oh, yep, you, sir. I saw your hand go up first.
Okay. Hi, Stephen Schaefer, Boston Herald. Great film, really amazing. Sarah and Ralph, the chemistry is... I'm calling you by your character's name. The chemistry is so terrific, really. What was it like to go back, and did you work together in the recording booth? Did you both do it separately, and were there a lot of improvised things that became part of the movie?
We did it together. We get to record together with these guys and Pam, and we get to improvise. They give us a lot of freedom to collaborate a lot, and the script itself is so fantastic, and it's really fun. I think they always book about maybe an extra hour of time than they need, because we get real chatty. And there is definitely an album, like a very rated R comedy album, somewhere in the audio footage of recording.
At least an hour of chit-chat, body humor, then focusing on the pages, then changing the pages.
It was a real treat to get into the studio again with Sarah. In a way, like our friendship has aged 5 years since the last film, so it tracks in a way with Ralph and Penelope. I mean, Sarah's not my only friend, one of my only friends, but it was a real treat to be able to start at a place of intimacy with Sarah and with Phil and Rich and Pam and everybody. We all kind of knew each other, and we learned how to work together on the first film, and we built these characters and the story together, so that when it came time to start this one, we could start from a very advanced place in terms of the kind of conversations we could have about the relationships and all that, and that, you can really see that in the film. I think I was one of the first people to insist that we try to be in the room together as much as possible, because I know the way improv works, it works best in real time. So yeah, there's a ton of improvised stuff, which Phil and Rich were very kind to just let us explore things every day. That's one of the great joys of doing audio work, is there's never the pressure of the sun going down. But
it's also great when you're it's not on camera and it's just audio, because then you can show up in just a two-piece suit.
And you
And he
and
still goes
Taraji,
all the way with a three-piece suit.
you and Taraji recorded a lot together.
yeah, exactly. No, Jack and I recorded, all of us recorded together, definitely. Yeah, your question was specific about me and Sarah, but certainly, I think that's what sets both of these movies apart, is that feeling of heart and real emotion. It's because we're looking into each other's eyes. You know, I've done other animated work where I didn't meet the other actor ever. And I'm sure there's sort of practical people who say, well, it doesn't matter, it's just a voice. But to me, it does matter, and I think it does come across in the film. It gives the film a soul that it might not have if we weren't there together.
Thank you.
I saw your hand go up right there.
Hi, I'm Sarah Woloski from Skywalking Through Neverland, and this question is for the directors actually. And one of the things I loved about this film is that the internet is like brought to life. Like you see the search box and it's a guy who's autofilling.
Yeah.
Like that's just great. And so my question is, was there anything that you brought to life that was on the cutting room floor? Like something about the internet that was just a great idea that you just couldn't bring to the movie?
One thing I remember, there was a big antivirus component and this sort of brutalist architecture behind this antivirus facility called Internet, and they had this woman running it based after my mother, named Bev, built to eradicate viruses, and she was this really kindly Midwestern woman, but then had this nasty, like, fascistic kind of streak to her. My mother's lovely. I don't know why we did that to my mom. Say it about your mom. I love her. I'm sorry.
But do you?
I do. But that was a storyline where we had that as a force of antagonism, and then ended up settling on, Ralph's own insecurity being more the antagonist in the film. That was one piece.
Oh, let me get some in the back. You, sir, with the glasses. Yeah. Oh, I guess that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you with the hat. Yes.
That's me. How you doing? Wait, Honey, Fandango. My question is, so throughout time, storytelling, the best storytelling, has usually had some component of social commentary, and that is something that Ralph Breaks the Internet does not shy away from. And I'm curious as to how you decide which social issues to feature, and then do they impact the story or vice versa?
Well, I went into the I'm sure everyone has something to say about this, but I jumped in first. I went in and met with the animators a couple times to talk about the way Ralph moved, and also just to check in with them and establish a relationship with them so that I could feel like I was working in concert with them. And I remember this one really moving conversation I had with them where I realized, the internet is like the central issue of our time. Our relationship to this technology, its power and its effect on us, we don't even quite understand yet. It's as powerful as like a nuclear bomb, but it uses other means. So it was really exciting in the context of an entertaining Disney film to be able to talk about some of these issues in a really real way. Its effect on people. Why do we crave the anonymous acceptance of people we don't know? All of this stuff. The way we're bombarded with commerce on the internet. So we made this fun, entertaining story, but I think, certainly you must have asked this question for this reason, that you come away from the film thinking about some of the most important issues of our time. Yeah. Anyone else?
What is it? You killed it.
Thank you.
Yes, you right there.
So the movie plays around with the word insecurity, from the internet and the security of the games to Ralph's own personal insecurities. So I want to know, what are your insecurities?
It's a third therapy session.
I'm sometimes insecure about whether or not I can fit into a group. which is, so the princess scene is comes from those insecurities.
I'm wearing
Part
part
of
of
the
these
group.
Spanx right now. I'm worried about fitting in this suit.
You look amazing.
Very well.
You really want to know?
Sure.
I'm insecure about my knees right now. Just I had a moment where I was sitting like this, and I was like, someone
really
has
good
this
knee.
picture.
That's how knees work.
And I yanked my knees up immediately. So in this moment, my knees.
I've worked really hard not to let my insecurities slow me down. You know, I think that's one of the important things that every person in their life has to do is learn not to judge yourself and be kind to yourself inside of your own thoughts. But I do think I'm insecure about, probably because my mom said it to me almost every time I left the house. She would say, "Don't wear out your welcome." Where are you going? Oh, go over there. Don't wear out your welcome. Because I spent most of my day just wandering around the neighborhood, going to different relatives' houses.
Wait, what did your parents call you? That you found out? What?
Well, no, I don't want to say that to the press.
Come on.
It wasn't a nickname that stuck, you know. Pesty. I turned it into a very lucrative career. Sarah, what are you insecure about?
It moves around, like grappling with being the age I am. I've never been this age, and it's the oldest I've ever been. But then I go, well, it's the youngest I'll ever be. That's what I too. And then, like, how I'm supposed to be, and then I go, however I am. I talk conversations with myself, or I'll go see the cellulite on my thighs. I go, oh, and then I go, I'm strong and my body works. I love these thighs. These thighs help me stand and walk and move. So whenever I pass, like I live in an apartment building and there's a mirror by the elevators. When I pass it, I make myself go like this.
I'm gonna have to start. That was my same answer, because it's like once I hit 50, it's like how am I being a good grown-up now? Or it's like I still feel like I'm 12, but am I doing this right? It's the exact same thing that you were talking about, and it bedevils me every day. Clark?
Yeah.
The interesting thing, when you launch onto these films, you don't really know how it's all going to get done. There's this moment in time where we're building the stories and we're recording the voices, and there's a deadline you're trying to meet, and you just wonder if that's actually going to come together. So I always have those moments of insecurity, but this
I love that feeling.
But it doesn't happen. It's an incredible group of people that come together to figure it all out.
That was a work insecurity.
It was.
We had to be very personal.
Personal insecurity, Phil.
Honestly, well, it's real. I was depressed and anxious for years and was afraid of that. And I think Ralph probably has some of that stuff coming from my struggle with that. And but here I am talking about it. And weirdly, that song at the end, that Imagine Dragons song, is all about that, like opening up about all the foibles we have, the fear, the anxiety, the depression and stuff, and talking about it. So here's it's more than typical support group, but
I struggle with those things too.
Good share.
I'm with you. I struggle with those things too.
yeah.
I think everyone up here did.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as much as Twitter gets a bad rep for good reasons, it is a place where I felt like I've been open about mental health issues and my own issues, and found a good community of people that are supportive of that. I want to get another person over here, so I'm not favoring a side, I'm paying attention.
We are talking about a cartoon movie, right? Okay, let's get back to that.
All right. Yes, right in the front. Yes.
Hey y'all, I'm Carla Renata, the Curvy Film Critic. The internet is 20 years old, right? So I'm wondering, what is it for each one of you that you wish we could go back to pre-internet? Something that you missed pre-internet that you'd really like to get back to?
Kids going outside, being home when the lights come on. Go outside and play. Use your imagination. How about that?
I don't remember phone number besides my own? And I'll tell you now.
You're good. I've got so lazy I don't even memorize my own. It's embarrassing. I have to look it up.
I miss broadcast TV, where it's like you had to see the show when it was on, and if you missed it, you missed it.
Yeah, I would say, jumping off of that I miss a time when we were all, even though it's wonderful to have all these choices of what we focus our attention on, it was a very good thing to have something an objective truth. You know, this is what's going on in the world, this is what we are all dealing with, instead of all these versions of what's going on in the world, depending on what sites you visit. I think the human race could use a unifying way to communicate again like that.
I mean, I know this was terrible. I think it worked out. I can't remember, but we all came together like baby Jessica was in a well.
It did work out.
Yeah, it did. Everybody tuned in. Everybody was concerned. She was everybody's kid, you know. Yeah.
I feel like quite a few kids fell into wells.
There was
Nobody falls into wells anymore.
There was a minute when this story was about Penelope falling in a well.
I remember that draft.
Yeah, it was a good one.
It was poorly received.
Okay. Yes, right there.
Hi, Vanessa from brightbubbly.com. My question is for Sarah. Every girl's dream, or little girl's dream, is to have their own Disney princess song. What was it like to finally get your own Disney princess song?
It was a dream come true. I couldn't believe it when you guys told me I was gonna have a song. We'd already been recording for a while, and I couldn't believe it. And you know, the music was written by Alan Menken, and I got to meet him and work with him and rehearse with him. And he played Somewhere That's Green for me to sing from my favorite. He wrote Little Shop of Horrors, my favorite. You know, and of course is like this Disney icon of iconic songs. But yeah, it was incredible. And then we recorded with a whole orchestra, you know, like you see in old-timey movies. It was crazy. It was really a thrill of a lifetime. Yeah.
La la, me.
It was Sarah. Just say,
I didn't know you couldn't sing.
Is it too late to give Yes a song? No.
Yes, you on the corner right here. Yes.
Questions for the directors.
Mike.
Oh, sorry. Can you just discuss, was there ever a point in putting this together that this was going to be called Ralph Wrecks the Internet?
Yes.
Can you explain then why you went the other way?
Well, it's one of those conundrums where no matter what you call it, someone's going to say, well, but shouldn't it be Ralph Breaks the Internet, since that's the expression, and since we liked that it has a dual meaning of him going viral and then also actually destroying the internet, we thought, well, let's go with that. Let's go with Ralph Breaks the Internet. Knowing though that there would be backlash or called, you know.
Yeah.
I want to get someone in the back. Yes, you right there with your glasses. I think you're wearing purple. Yeah. Periwinkle.
Have a halo around.
Dusty Rose, actually. Well, congratulations.
Nice to meet you, Dusty. What's your question?
First of all, congratulations. A great job, everyone. But this is I'm gonna throw this out to Phil and our 12-year-old director here.
Thank you.
With every Disney film, we see new heights visually, which is attributable to new technologies. Here we get to see the King Kong Ralph get created, which obviously is now a further advancement of what we saw in Big Hero 6 with microbots. So I'm curious, what technology has come along that enabled you to do something here that you would not have been able to do if you had done the film any earlier?
Clark, do you want to answer that? I mean, he's more articulate with these things.
Well, you know, I think there's two things that end up happening. One is technology is just improving in terms of the ability to render faster, which is a big key component to it. The second thing with Kong Ralph, which is really interesting, is we had to change our pipeline paradigm. We had to actually not let it be something that would happen at the end of our process. We would have 4 departments come together to work in tandem with each other. So it was really the effects department, lighting, animation, and crowds, who all came together to work as a team, which is outside of the pipeline we usually use. And then the third piece is technology came in and really figured out a way to make sure that the characters don't interpenetrate each other. That was going to be the biggest, most complicated part of it. There's 50,000 Ralphs in that column Ralph, and to make sure that they don't actually interpenetrate in any shot that we're actually looking at. So there were many pieces of the puzzle that had to all come together to create that. And it's a story where the directors had this idea and the story artists pitched it, and then you wonder again, is it something we're going to actually be able to realize in time? And it was an incredible process to actually watch come together.
Also, there are 50,000 in the close-up. There are 300,000 total. I was just told the other day.
Yes.
300,000.
Thanks for not penetrating me.
Took everything we had not to. It was tempting.
You right here up in front. Hi, I'm Tyra Majors. I'm with Muse TV and USC Annenberg. So this movie just touched on so many themes: cyberbullying, self-confidence, all of that stuff. And I just can only think what kids are taking away from this. So anyone can answer the question, but what do you think kids are gonna take away from this movie?
Well, one of the things I hope they think about is when you have to start a new school or your friendships change and you move into a new place, that fear that you have, that everything will be different and you'll never know those friends again, that we really thought about that shift in life, because it keeps happening no matter how old you get. You move into a new place and you meet new friends, and you don't have to lose your old ones.
I hope I'm on many things. First of all, I hope kids are entertained and feel like this story relates to them and that they recognize some of their own friendships in these characters. But I do hope, like when you do something unhealthy or something that makes you unhappy, and you just do it in a kind of mindless way, you get caught in these patterns of behavior that doesn't, and then at some point, if you make a move towards being more healthy, you say, why am I doing that? Why am I doing that? And I think this idea of chasing after anonymous love, these hearts, like in our movie, these hearts, or this idea that kids are reaching out for acceptance from people they don't know, and how that's ultimately kind of an empty feeling. I hope that kids come away with that aha moment that I just described, which is like, why do I do that? Why do I want to do that? Because that's the first step to really understanding a situation like that, is asking yourself personally, well, why am I doing that? And maybe I can do something differently once you have that realization.
I always liked it when I was a kid, films that made me realize I'm not the only one that does these kinds of things or feels this way. Because I think, like with depression, with like anxiety, with a lot of these issues, even bullying, there's a component of that it's shameful, and that we shouldn't talk about it, and I've got to keep it to myself. And as a kid, when I would see a movie where I saw a character going through the same things that I was, it made me feel like, okay, I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. I'm not a freak. The only person on earth feeling these things.
I wanted to get is there more in the back that I can't see from this light? No? Okay. No. Oh, you, yeah, sorry, in the corner.
Hi, Alex from laughingplace.com. The relationship between Ralph and Vanellope from Ralph's point of view very closely follows the lyrics of the song Never Gonna Give You Up. And I wanted to know, was that always your intention, or how did that come about, or did you not even realize
that was reverse engineered, actually. I think it occurred to everyone that song did apply in that way to the movie, because it was a very late addition. I think it might have been like a joke that we just came up with for the credits, and then that song's everywhere in our trailer and stuff now, but yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, the idea of something called a rec roll was one of the first dumb ideas we had, but we didn't ever actually then figure out how to use it or where to put it. And then John was pretty upset that Sarah got to sing a song and he didn't, so I think we had to...
That's not true.
No, it's not true at all, but you can't have John in a movie not singing, so we had...
He has the voice of an angel. sing American roots music?
Anybody get a guitar?
Yes, you ma'am, all the way in the back in the center. Yes.
Hi, I'm Alexandra August from Comic Book Resources, and a question for the directors. Why was there no Facebook represented in the internet? Not that that was unwelcome.
You're still on Facebook? Cheap shot.
It's still around.
It's true, it's true.
They drive past it, you see it in the background.
Yeah, I think we used to have a scene that took place there, but since it wasn't like part of the story, it didn't really fit with the story anymore.
It's buried in one of those layers that Phil described, right on top of MySpace.
Yes, you in the front.
Hi, Kathy Bellarmami, and we saw the movie last night, and so sorry, thank you. Hi, I'm Kathy Bellarmami, and we saw the movie last night. And my 5-year-old, when we left the movie, when we were in the car, he says to me, "You know, Mama, it's better to tell the truth so you don't hurt someone's feelings."
Oh.
And we had a whole long conversation about the movie, and it's amazing when we were talking about the takeaway. And he was recently bullied, and so we were talking about that. It was amazing. But my question is, I want to share that with you, so you hit a home run.
And that just made the 3.5 years working on it.
You hit a home run.
So thank you.
I will let him know. I will show the video. And Sarah, I wanted to know, how was it working with Gal? Did you guys do it together, or did you?
I wish I could say that we did, but we didn't because she has been shooting this movie called Wonder Woman. It's not going to do well, but so yeah, that was one where we couldn't record together, but I adore her.
You guys follow each other on Instagram, though.
Whatever.
We went to London, Rich and I, 3 or 4 times while she is shooting that aforementioned film there over the last year or so. We went a number of times and worked with her. So it was the one exception where the actors weren't together, but man, you couldn't meet a nicer, humbler woman. She was really cool.
You in the back, on the side. Yep. Sorry, should I get? You have like a strap going across. I'm gonna get really specific. With the side bangs, side swept. Yes, that's me.
What are your insecurities?
Well, I got them too, so.
Pretty much. It's me from Hollywood Inspire. I have a question to Sarah. Could you talk about more about your relationship with internet? Because it's many people kind of like too much get into the getting up the overnight and kind of like researching on eBay or Instagram or Twitter. Could you talk about your own experience to relationship with internet?
Oh, talk about my own experience with the internet.
Yes.
Do you want to know what my search words are? It's funny, years ago, I have a group of friends that we play poker together, and one of them was like, "You've got to check out this thing, Twitter. I'm going to take a picture of us and post it on Twitter, and people will comment on it." And I go, "Oh, jeez, you with this latest technologies," and I made fun of him, and then one day I was listening to the radio, and they said, "Follow us on Twitter," and I wanted to hear more about that story, and so you have to log on, and then that was it.
A gateway drug.
It is a gateway drug. Well, for a comedian, it's a great place to try out jokes, or like places where you just have a funny thought and you want to put it out there or whatever, but then it became the place where I take in my news, and now I wantonly look back on the times when I was funny on it. But yeah, it's something like, I think the internet, because it was new for us, kids, it's all they know, and they probably, I wonder in what ways that's good and bad, but we had to learn how to navigate it and how to protect, ourselves and what we can handle and what we can allot ourselves. It's like anything, there can be way too much of it, it's nice as a treat. There are bells that can't be unrung that probably happen a couple times in a week or so, or a day, or in the middle of the night. I know. But I think there's a lot of good in the internet. It's brought the world a lot closer. It's made it a lot smaller, and then of course there are terrible things about it. A lot of misinformation. This new world of chaos and lack of knowing what is true, I would attribute to the internet, but also learning truths about other people that I would have never known, culturally, like waking up to my own white privilege had a lot to do with the internet, for what it's worth, but yeah, it's a very complicated relationship, the internet, that I think we all have, and we have to try to find a healthy balance.
Yes, you.
Hi, my question, I'm Raymond from the Philippine Star. My question is for the producers. So, it's rare for Disney to have a sequel, an animated sequel. So, Ralph is breaking the internet now, so what's next for Ralph and Penelope? Is there going to be a story onwards for them?
Ralph changes the climate?
Good idea.
Well, like the first one, we're at that point where we feel like, well, it's buttoned up nice and clean. There cannot possibly be another story after this one, and that's what we thought on the first one. So unless we start digging at this and find, that there's some sort of opportunity to be, mined, I think right now it feels as if, they're great companion pieces that kind of ends here, but
the Iliad and the Odyssey.
That's right.
Yes, you right here.
Hi, Dominic from letterboxd.com. This is for Miss Silverman. You spoke earlier about what it was like to record your first Disney Princess song. I was just wondering if you could talk a bit more about what it means to be one now. There was a wonderful scene with Penelope kind of indoctrinated into the group. And will it affect your act?
Will it affect my act? It'll affect my attitude. I don't know that it'll affect my act, although everything affects my act. I mean, just everything. But yeah, it's a thrill, and it's something that the idea of Disney Princess, what makes it good is that it has grown and changed. That Disney has taken on progress and inclusivity and has grown and changed in positive ways. And where a classic Disney princess gets, and really in this movie just faces it head on, leans right into it, Well, you get saved by a man, and you are in great distress, and your life is threatened, and and then someone else saves you, and then to all in one movie acknowledge all of that and then shatter it is so exciting, and to get to be this kid who becomes like a princess with an attainable waist and wearing comfortable clothes. And I always as a comic, this is really going a different direction, but we end up in diners late at night after shows. And who also ends up at diners late at night are young girls, young people coming out of the clubs, dance clubs and stuff like that. And I would see young women in half shirts and sky-high heels, and they're freezing cold. They're like this, shivering, and their feet hurt. And I just think, I just wish I could tell them that they don't have to be uncomfortable to deserve love. Like, boys are not raised to think that they ever have to sacrifice comfort to be loved, you know? And it just always struck me. I would just go, oh, I'd be in like my hoodie and jeans and just think, these girls don't think that they can get love without this insane amount of physical discomfort. And I love that Vanellope kind of sheds light on these grown-up princesses that are uncomfortable hanging out. And I, on Twitter just announced, I mean, didn't just announce, but someone was talking about it months and months ago, and I said, yeah, she's Jewish. I just made her Jewish, and now it's canon, which I enjoy. Von Schweetz, I don't know. Is that Jewish?
I think we have time for one more question. I saw your hand go up first, right there.
So there's one last scene in the movie where Felix and his wife talk about what the secrets of being a good parent. Those of you who have kids, what is the secret to being a good parent?
I guess I'll sit quietly.
It's Jack's character. Who said that?
I would just say honesty and truth. You know, now with the internet, you can't shelter them much. So you just have to be as honest as you can. Just tell them the facts and guide them. And hope they don't fucking run into a wall.
That is good advice.
I think the secret, I mean, there's many secrets that you can only know through your own personal experience with a child, but I'd say the most important thing for me is seeing who the child is as opposed to who you want them to be or who you think they will become. But who are they? And that includes like, what kind of school does this kid need to go to? Not what kind of school does our family go to? What kind of school does this kid need to go to? And if you have more than one kid, it's different for each one, you know? And so basically recognizing the humanity of that person, you know, the distinct identity apart from you, and accepting it.
I would say that kind of going off of that, it was always never talking down to my kids, you know, always talking to them as human beings and not trying to aim them, you know, towards things, but really kind of responding to what they wanted, very much like what John was saying.
I won't top any of those. I mean, I was not a terribly exceptional kid, and I am not worried that my kids aren't geniuses and aren't, it's what John's saying, like I'm not gonna shove them into something that they don't want, and I don't care that they're not the best at math right now, that I love them and I will help them and they're gonna be fine, and I will do my best to keep them safe and let them know that. And they have enough pressure in the world, they don't need it from me. So I think it's sort of all saying the same things, less articulately. Yeah, that's the best advice.
Well, I
Also, tell them, don't wear out your welcome.
My mom, very similarly, you're not the most special one in any room. So, no, it worked out, look. It's a great room. But I try to listen, which I think really comes into that too, so that you find out what kind of kid they are. You listen to the kid that they're telling you they are, and listen, because sometimes the first thing they're saying to you isn't the thing they really mean. There's something in there that they're struggling with because they're new at saying it.
Gosh, I wish y'all were my parents. My mom was super Catholic, so she always just offer it up. That was my offer it up. I was like, Mom, I'm bleeding, offer it up. Just Latinas. That is all of our time. Thank you so much for coming to the press conference for Rama.